in relationships, it's your responsibility to have to create a safe space for that partner.
100%.
1,000,000%.
1,000,000%.
1,000,000%.
That's what you're there for. Like at the end of the day,
1,000,000%.
You're not with the 1,000,000.
he's with the 1 billion.
I was just gonna say it.
Welcome to.
So we're back, and unfortunately, I'm being interrogated right now, and I'm going to let myself be interrogated on camera.
You love
I don't know
this.
what's going to happen. If it doesn't work out, we cut the podcast. I'm joking. But we had a conversation about overthinking and
Right.
anxiety,
Yeah.
and I accidentally brought up how it sometimes affects relationships.
Yeah.
I look at a lot of things like my fault. Like, okay, whatever happens is going to be my fault. So it's my job, or at least I think it's my job, to think of everything in advance. Is that good, bad? Let me know.
I think the thing that you were identifying wasn't that you think of it in advance. It's the fact that, as Sam was saying, you just sit there and ruminate on all of the problems,
Right.
not pause, recollect, and then attack the issue. It's like the sky is falling, the sky is just falling, and then you just sit and the sky is falling, and then it's just a continuation of like thinking of the problem versus, okay, the sky is falling, what can I do in this time so I can like prepare for when it does, reach Earth or whatever the problem is. So yeah, I think it's a lot of things have to do with identifying the label in which we're calling things.
I always heard of it called like analysis paralysis.
Yes.
That's where I get like, even though I can identify it, it's difficult to be like, okay, I identified it, now stop it. That's the part where I'm like, okay, well, how do I do that part?
Well, that's true.
I think it's just like making a game plan, but then also you gotta realize it's this Christian thing this lifestyle we're living, trying to be like Christ, is not only for like church or like our Bible studies. It's like a lifestyle thing. So you have to understand. You have to say, okay, I'm planning. I'm doing the best I can without killing myself. And if I have resources, I'm going to use those resources. But ultimately, if things don't go right, like I'm putting this in God's hands, because if something's going to happen, something's going to happen, but we can't control every single situation that's going to happen in the world at every point in time. And that's not our responsibility on our burden to bear that.
May I ask, okay, because how I would process the situation is like, okay, let's say something did go bad. What could I have done is there anything I personally could have done to avoid it?
Okay.
If I find a yes, I'm going crazy off that yes.
What is
If
going
I'm
crazy off that yes?
Like I'm focusing on it on every detail or like every possible avenue to avoid that. Like let's say there's like something goes wrong and there's 10 things that could have gone right or wrong. Let's say again, there's out of 10 things, one thing goes wrong. If that one thing is something that I personally could have avoided, I'm mentally beating myself up. Just like being real.
So does that mean that you no longer go through those issues? Like when you have a problem, happens to you one time?
Say it again?
Okay. Sorry. The question is, if that's the case, if when something happens that does stress you out or you have to ruminate on it because you saw there was a possibility of you doing it differently, does that mean then from all of your time and effort put into the possibility of what could have happened, that no longer happens to you? Because that means that you should have changed behavior the next time and that shouldn't affect you again.
Does you learn from it or just beat yourself up?
I try my best to learn. Well, it's like I'm not justifying it, but I'm saying like this is how it comes about.
Right.
This is how the overthinking and the anxiety comes about, essentially. It's like, okay, what could I have done differently? And if the possibility or if the situation come about again, can I undo it? Or can I work so it's not a problem again? That's how I justify it, but I'm not going to say it's the best solution.
So it's not.
It's not. I don't think it's healthy.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think it's healthy.
Okay.
I'm not justifying the unhealthy behavior.
Right.
But I know, like, this is my personal thought process.
Oh, okay.
When I'm overthinking X, Y, Z.
When you were a kid, oh, you were gonna say something?
No.
When you were a kid, what? Do you have siblings?
Yes.
How many and what order?
It's a little weird, cause, like, biologically I have one,
Okay.
but I grew up with cousins that were like pretty much siblings, and I could range. That's like 4 or 5.
Are you older, younger?
I'm in the middle.
Do you, when you look back, I guess, at your childhood or your relationship with your parents, do you feel that you got a lot of blame for things that went wrong?
I wouldn't say yes, but I do remember me internalizing. I can't say if that was from outside sources or not, but I will definitely say, like, I internalized a lot of stuff as a child.
Then maybe it's not directed done to you, but you see it, like, around you?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Like, for me, it's the easiest thing I could ever do is internalize, even if things are not my fault. It's for me to be vulnerable. I do think of a lot of things as my fault, even if they're not. It's the most difficult thing I could ever do is say something is not my fault. Like, if the power went out in this building, I'll be honest with you. If the power went out and the lights went out, I'm in my head about, like, what can I have done differently? I'm going to Amazon as soon as possible to say, okay, let's get a generator, XYZ.
It's like, you're better than me.
That's just me, though. I don't know. Like, I look at it as, like, okay, I'm trying to be responsible, but it ends up in the anxiety range.
Do you have a moment that you recall from whenever in your lifetime where something that you really wanted to work out didn't, or you saw someone really wanting something to work out and it didn't?
I could say for multiple things. And I do remember thought process as far as, like, okay, like me thinking, okay, I messed this up or I messed these sequence of stuff up. I'll be real. Like, there's slightly real with confidentiality, but there is, like, a time period of my life where I'm like, if I did these things differently, life would be totally different. I try to escape that thought, but it's usually bugs me out.
So, you feel like this helps you then?
No.
No. Okay. I didn't think so. So does this usually lead to you having more money? Having more time?
Most likely not.
Yeah, I would, from the way I'm thinking about it, it's like you're creating, I don't know, I feel like you're going, people say going the extra mile, I feel like you're going the extra 100 miles.
Yeah, 100. I'm honest, like, that is me. I'm going the extra 100 miles for the smallest little problem.
Yeah, and that's not bad, but when it comes to a point of, like, your health.
Right.
Oh, physically?
I mean, it can...
And mentally.
It can be...
Mentally, for sure.
It can
was
be
like,
mentally.
what kind of health?
But physically, it can also start to
because
affect you.
anxiety
Right,
does affect a lot of people physically in a sense. I think, like, it's difficult because for me, it feels like that's what I'm supposed to do. It feels like that's the responsible thing to do, to think about everything that could go bad. Is that yes or no?
No, you know. Is it?
I'm asking.
No, but I want to know what you think. Do you think that that's an effective, like, if I were to say that I sat here or like in a moment where you would think someone's enjoying themselves and you're like, actually, I was actually freaking out the entire time thinking of all the possibilities of things going badly. But you'd be like, oh yeah, that sounds like a great day. Like, that's such a good, like, afternoon for me. Like, would you think that? No.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Okay.
I think that when I think about moments where I have anxiety or where I'm overthinking things, obviously I don't think about this in the moment, but when I'm not feeling those feelings and I can sit with the situation or the physical symptoms that I was feeling, all of that stuff. I think you're overthinking. Well, let me revert it to me again. My overthinking, right, and my anxious thoughts came from a place of thinking and truly believing that everything going well is under my control.
Facts.
And that is very prideful from me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a believer, right? So it's basically subconsciously, consciously taking that authority from God.
It's like taking credit.
Yeah. Taking credit and just not allowing that exercise of faith, right? Because faith is like a seed, right? That it grows. And faith is completed in Christ, but it has to go through a process. And me wanting control and like overthinking every little single thing, or, you know, all of that, boils down to wanting control. And thinking that I have control over every aspect of my life is prideful, because obviously in the moment I don't think about it like that. But at the end of the day, I'm thinking that I can do better than God.
Oh.
And in my mind, honestly, and I've said this to other people too, I feel like true control is knowing that you have no control of anything and being okay with that.
Right.
May I ask?
Tough pill to swallow.
Tough pill to swallow. May I ask, it's like to say you have no control over anything. To me, it feels reckless. It feels like, okay, if you're just saying, if I would just say like, okay, I have no control over anything, it's like I would feel like, okay, then nobody could trust you. If I feel comfortable saying, okay, hey, I have no control, it's like you fail to prepare. Like, you ever heard the quote, like, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail? In my mind, it's like, okay, stop, like, plan as much as possible. And that planning leads to the overthinking, leads to the want for at least control to make sure things don't go bad.
So I think that
I'm not saying this right.
I think that a lot of times when people have certain ideas that work for them, they tend to find a lot of paths in which it makes it right. And I think that can be like when you're thinking on something, like me as a person, I have a bias, right? I have a bias towards life, and based off of how my life has gone is how I'm going to view the world.
Right.
And I think for me to say having no control and being okay with that is to have control, your view of the world would say that's not the truth. My view of the world would say that is the truth. So I think that there are aspects and possibilities in which I know that is beyond my control, because I can try and plan as much as I want to and things can still not go the way I want.
Do you feel like acknowledging your lack of control gives you better control over your own self and emotions?
I'm not going to say that because I know about the fact that that's control, that doesn't mean I go 10 toes deep on everything that I'm going to do in my life. That just means that despite me trying, there are still factors in the world because, you know, as faith-based people, you know, I live in a world of sin. So there are people actively and, you know, non-human as well, actively plotting on me. So I'm not going to go beyond myself and say, oh, this is not going to, like, this is going to be like if I tried and it doesn't work out, that it was a me problem. But that might also have to do with confidence. I might have more confidence than someone should.
I was trying to look it up. There's a theory for what you were saying about
Locus of control.
I don't know specifically, but like saying because you would do something in a situation, that means somebody else would do that same thing.
Oh, right.
Can't remember.
But no, yeah, I think because, you know, a lot of times like people form questions or you're having a discussion and people assume that because they have the thought based off of their life, that's how it goes, and they generalize. And you're like,
Right.
Wait, I don't fall into that. Don't
It's
put
like
me in that.
The cat willing means it's like, I'm not affected. I got
Right.
papers to say.
Right.
I'm not affected. I think, I mean, I actually like that you say that. It's like, do you prefer overconfidence, or like if you had to swing the pendulum to one side,
Right.
overconfidence or lack of confidence?
I would go, well, okay, so here's the
You
thing.
gotta swing.
I don't think overconfidence is the other side.
You think it's the middle?
I think it's the middle.
Really?
I know so many people who I looked at and thought, oh, they're so confident because they were overconfident,
Right.
and they were actually the furthest thing from confidence.
Right.
And I'm not going to say they were the zero, because I've seen zero, but they weren't what they like showed that they were. And I only say that because how many times have we heard someone say, oh yeah, I'm like super connected with God, and we were like, yeah, I think he's right. Like, majority of the times, the things that I believe have more to do with what I've assessed than what the person has said.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that sometimes people say it makes me question, why are you trying to push that agenda?
I can see what you're saying with that. Yeah. It's like, the word that comes to mind is comparison.
Right.
It's like comparing somebody's understanding to your lack of understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Or like what you believe is overconfidence to
Right.
them was actually just like middle of the road.
Right. But see, that's the thing. The question would be, how did I realize it was overconfidence? Now, how did I get to that? I looked at the fact that it didn't show in any other place than their words.
Oh, okay,
If you're saying to me, oh, I'm confident, then I should see that in the way you approach people. I should see that in the way
Right.
people see you. Like, it shouldn't be where like it's almost a secret.
Right.
So I that's my thing across the board. There are times where like I literally choose, because I've said it, to do it. Because I'm like, why am I going to say it and then proceed to do the opposite?
Sure.
That's disingenuous, and that's not something that I like to show in the world.
Do you think because a lot of people would think that being quiet and confident is better than being loud or talking about like how confident you are or your ability and stuff like that. Some people like prefer to like not speak about their abilities, like let their actions speak for them. I'm starting to think it's like sometimes it's worth it to like talk your stuff a little bit. Do you think so too? Is it worth it to like, talk about your ability? Like, yeah, I'm actually the best at this. Yeah, nobody.
That's
can touch
cocky.
I
That's
wouldn't
not
say
just
best.
talking
that's
about what you
very
can do.
relative.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I would accept it if and only if the actions match the words.
me. Right. So talk, but then prove it.
Right.
Gotcha.
And honestly, I'm more likely to take prove it than words if we had to verse it. If it's like verses, yeah, definitely actions more than words. I can't do anything with words
And you can post them.
other than maybe write a story.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, behaviors, right, and what we see people act on, that's data. You can
Yes.
draw conclusions from that.
right. Do you think that silence or like your lack of speaking up could betray you? 'Cause
Betray or
betray.
portray?
Betray.
Oh,
Yes.
Like for me, I was usually more of like, okay, I'm gonna be more reserved. Like before I met you guys, but I was more reserved. I was more like, okay, I'm gonna, only speak up when I have to. Nobody really has to know I'm in the room whatsoever. But that came from a place of me trying to mitigate disappointment. I was so afraid of disappointing that I wouldn't speak up at all. Now I've learned to be like to speak up more because I mean like, okay, it's done nothing for me to do the opposite.
right.
Like me trying to be more quiet and more reserved hasn't done anything for me. And
Right.
I actually enjoy like speaking up, even if it's the wrong thing. I've learned to be okay with saying the wrong thing, even if it's like an awkward moment sometimes. Sometimes like silence does betray us.
Well, I would agree that silence does betray you, but not only that, I tend to see where people use silence almost as a weapon, where not only do they choose to be silent, but in your silence you are suffering, right?
True.
You're going through things no one knows, no one can show up for you because they do not know. And you're having all these thoughts that we haven't even been able to represent or even disengage and say that's not what it is. Like you're simply just sitting there in silence suffering.
Right.
It's nothing more than that. Now, if you were to say something, then we can either show up or we can just, if we sorry, it's gonna If we ain't shit, then we ain't shit.
I get that. I get that. I think of it in more like not just like your silence and suffering, but sometimes like, you ever heard the quote, victory favors the bold?
Yeah.
Do you believe in that quote? Victory favors the bold.
No.
To an extent.
don't?
Yeah,
I don't know.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
to an extent, because if like in that case, if first like we were silent in opportunity, or in the given a chance of opportunity, then you're more than likely not gonna get that opportunity. Like for example, if somebody says, "Hey, I need somebody to record this for me," you have the equipment, you have the skill,
Mm-hmm.
but because you feel like you're good enough or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
or you just don't want to come out of that comfort zone and say, "Hey, I can do this."
Yeah, you're not gonna say anything. I would.
Then that's I'm not gonna, that's on you, because
Right.
you could have spoken up for yourself, gotten this opportunity, and then the thing is, you don't put a cap on opportunities, because one small opportunity can lead you to something way bigger down the line.
To a degree, I agree, but to an extent, I disagree. Because sometimes it's like in the quote of like victory favors the bold. Sometimes it does take the boldness of saying that you're capable, and sometimes that does come off as like, arrogant. That comes off of like, you're talking too much, stuff like that.
I disagree with that. I think your wording when you're saying I can do that is what makes it cocky or like, swings the pendulum to
The other side.
not just being like confident or like
Being,
actually speaking the truth,
right.
Because for it to sound, for like what you were saying, right? If Sam is like, hey, Neely, like I have this opportunity for you. Me saying, oh, I can actually help with that. I did this last year. Just let me know. That's not cocky. And that's me speaking, right? Out loud. And not staying silent with something that I know I can help.
Right.
Now, if I was like, hey, Sam, like, I got you. And no, don't ask anybody else for help. Like, I'm the best at this. X, Y, and Z, then that's just
That's
cocky. And maybe I'm not even that good at it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
But even in that, that's where you can like get into the point where it's weaponizing competence, where you're like, I'm not even gonna tell them that I'm good at camera stuff. Like I'm just gonna show up, and like if it doesn't go well, hey. But if
At
it
least I
does
didn't
go well,
say,
exactly,
I didn't put any expectations so they can't get mad.
Exactly. So yeah,
So,
yeah,
Weaponizing
sorry, is that what I saying it?
yeah.
I think so, because it's like almost not taking responsibility.
It isn't.
Yeah.
Because so hold
Okay,
on.
go
The
ahead.
thing that you said, like, and the theme in which I see for people who have anxiety and tend to ruminate on things is they give so much power to when their thoughts lead to good that they ignore as if it doesn't happen. The part where you lose time, the parts where it doesn't, you lose opportunities.
Right.
Because in the moment when you said, say things didn't go well, if I had done these 4 things, it
Right.
might have. But then what about all the times where you chose not to speak and those would have went well?
Right.
So
I
like,
gave up opportunities
it goes
by
both
being
ways.
too
Right.
anxious. Yeah.
right?
I try my best to like pull myself like away from that,
Yeah.
because like most of my life I found myself more like being afraid to speak up
Right.
because of being afraid to fail.
Right.
But because I was afraid to fail, I gave up opportunities where things went right.
Right.
And those, I feel the regret from both,
Right.
from where things went
Oh, okay.
wrong or when things could have gone right, but I chose not to do anything. That's where I've struggled and tried to grow from.
Sam, what were you gonna say?
I forgot.
No, Sam's always been confident.
I forgot. Nah. Ooh. I don't think. No, that actually I haven't, bro. This confidence that you see in me, I'm not even confidence. This confidence that you see in me is a lot of times it's things that I've grown into, because I was always like kind of, I was in high school, I was like loud, right? But the skill I had back then compared to now, I wouldn't say is the best. Like right now, if I know I can, for example, if I want to do a project, I'll use my resources now. I think that my big thing is I'm confident if I know that I have resources who can back me. Like if I know I want to do a project, I'll ask you, hey, you're better at recording. Can you record me doing this? Like I'm confident in knowing that I don't know everything, but I have people around me who can help me achieve that. So that's the difference. Back then, if you were asking me, I'd probably be like, yeah, I can do this and that. I was looking back at a video that I edited in high school, and I was like, no, this is, I was like, this is terrible. But back then I was like, yeah, man, I did that. And, you know, but now I'm not afraid to ask for help. I have friends who are video editors. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. Is this possible? Cool. Thanks. And I'm not going to take credit for that also. I'm be like, this was done by so-and-so. And I'll tell them, hey, thank you.
Yeah. I'm curious. Do you think it varies, or your definition of what's confidence and like varies by like even your profession or like careers? Because I would see like you're in a more like data-driven field. So like you kind of don't, forgive me if I'm wrong, but you don't really got to speak on it to be acknowledged. But even in my fields, it's all word of mouth. It's like if you don't speak, you're not getting fed. Like closed mouth don't get fed. That's a lot of where my life, like where I'm surrounded by. Do you think it varies based off of like where you live, your career path, how things are set up?
I would even say, to speak right on a more sciencey
Right.
field, you can have all the data, you can have the proof, right? But if you cannot articulate to a non-science audience what you found and how that can benefit their life, that data, that capability, right, that skill that you have won't do anything, right? It will translate it to another field. So you have to be confident, definitely, in the process of, in this case, science or the skill that you have, but you also need to talk about it.
Right.
Because just like with grants, right, or opportunities, funding to do what you want to do or get the answers you want, you need to be able to present, I can do this, I have the resources to do it, this is how I would use the money, these are the professors I'm bringing into my team to help me do that and be resourceful, like Sam was saying. So you do need to be able to speak on the skills, and if you don't have them, who are you having working with you to be able to achieve that? So you have to be confident, or at least portray that you're confident in that proposal writing, right, or anything that you're presenting. So it's like the skill, right, or the data, but also how you, if you believe that you can do it.
Sure.
I think just to add on that too, I think there was a point in life where it was okay for silence to be the like leading factor because of uncertainty. But as I'm growing into, being an adult now, there are times where you go and say you're going for a service, and if you don't advocate for yourself, you sit there and you suffer in silence.
Yeah.
And then you find yourself like, man, all I had to do was say it. All I had to do was speak. And in moments like that, you're like, being an adult, you technically don't really get to just cry about it. You don't really get to just sit in silence because it gets you nowhere.
Right.
Right? We don't get to just like, hey mom, like, I just really wanted to let you know, like, this person cut me off in the road and like I crashed. Like, we just don't yet, like, it doesn't do anything. And I think for me, the thing that stops me from sometimes having I'm not gonna say panic attacks, but like getting to the point where I'm just sitting there and ruminating in the feeling and in the problem is like, okay, I'd love to cry right now, but like, what is that gonna get me?
Right.
Nothing. So I'm just gonna figure out the solution to this problem.
Right. Exactly.
Because if I cried and it got me somewhere, then maybe I'd be more open to it, but it doesn't get me anywhere. And I think that's the thing for me. Like, okay, I'm gonna try. And if it doesn't, then I'll, like you do, I'll call someone else. I'll contact someone to see if they can approach the problem. But like me just sitting here being sad and letting no one know in my life is not going to do anything for me.
I'll be real with you. I suck at asking for help. I will walk 1,000 miles before. I accidentally asked him for help one time.
You're not going to last long in this life.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, you've gotten better at that. Like, since I've known you, I've seen you getting like you've been better at asking for help and not. I wouldn't say it clowning, but I said earlier like this man like freaks out all the time, but like you've got it's. I've seen you taking action to not put as much of that burden on yourself, and I think that's very commendable. Instead of like just sitting and wallowing in your sorrows, like you're like, okay, action. What do I gotta do? Oh, I can't handle it. Okay, let me send it to somebody for somebody to do, like the thing
Like
we were
the
talking
event,
about earlier. Yeah.
It's difficult. I don't know. Like when I play through my mind, like should I ask for help? Should I not ask for help? What plays through my mind is like multiple ideas. Like, okay, can I really not handle this? Is it something that I'm not doing? And if I ask for help, I'm not saying are they going to judge me, but part of me asks the question of like, okay, am I burdening this person? Am I like, even me asking for help being irresponsible? That usually what plays through my mind where I'm like, okay, should I ask for help? Do I got this? Do I not got this? Like a lot of times, like if somebody doesn't like come out of the woodworks, I'm not asking for help. I might take the L. Be real with you. I might take the L.
How many L's until you ask for help?
I'm saying.
That's a very, very good question.
I think one of the perks of friendships is inconvenience. Like if you have to have, I think one of the main differences between a friend and an acquaintance is an acquaintance probably won't inconvenience themselves for your benefit.
Right.
Whereas a friend would probably go that extra mile to make sure you're good. Like if a random person were to break down on the road, they're gonna call and they don't know anybody, they're gonna call AAA, right? But if they have a friend, you know, that friend is gonna come out and help them or do what they can to help them. And if they have an acquaintance, if they call that an acquaintance, they're gonna be like, yeah, call somebody else. Like, why are you calling me?
Or not even answer.
You know, right?
Literally.
But friends are like, friendship isn't always for the convenience. If your friends are friends only in the convenient times, I don't think that's a real friendship at all. Inconvenient. Sometimes you gotta be inconvenienced. Like sometimes you may have had a long day, but your friend like really needs you, even if it's just like to listen to them, because like something happened to them.
It's weird because even when I think of my friends, if they inconvenience me, I'm okay. If I'm contemplating being a inconvenience to somebody else, that's where I'm like, whoa. That's where I gotta literally like pull myself out of like that headspace.
I want to speak on that really quick. I definitely had that same thought pattern regarding opening up also about things that I was going through or asking for help, either emotionally or physically because I needed it, whatever. And I had to, again, I really think this maybe stemmed a little bit from my pride, right? Or just the narrative of people not being available for me as I was available for them. Like, if I show up for my friends and I know I have quality people around me, what makes me think that they are not more than willing to show up for me, right? Like you said that you do it for your friends and you don't necessarily feel like, oh my God, he's asking for help again. Like, trust your friends to be there for you type of thing.
That's...
And at the same time, you're cultivating a dependency where they don't, it would almost be like, wait, why do you need something? Like, you're always good. Like, it would get to the point where you're like, I don't even really need to answer because Vlad's always good.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I think majority of my friends think I'm just good by myself.
Right.
Talk to your friends right now on the camera.
I'm not good by myself.
Yeah.
But I think it's weird because you kind of have to give up looking weak.
Gotta be vulnerable.
Yeah, I struggle being vulnerable.
Vulnerable Vlad.
There's
BB.
do you feel like there's a lot of people who have truly seen you vulnerable? Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Only because I show up authentic. I mean, I'm not hiding from anyone, and if it's hiding, I'm just quiet. But if I open my mouth, I'm going to share how I feel. But with that being said, I'm not the kind of person who's just like, hey, I'm going to force this down your throat. I'm like, I'm just going to share my truth. You can disagree, and that's perfectly fine. My truth doesn't make me right. It doesn't make it reality. It's just how I feel. And that's okay, and it can take up space. And if you can't handle that, I'm going to give you like 10 times before me taking space up and you denying me that space or trying to take it away or like, you know, choosing to share at that same time, because that's a whole other conversation.
True.
You know, when you choose to be vulnerable and someone's like, this is a perfect time to talk about me. And you're like, oh, okay. So, you know, that's a whole other thing. I think, yeah, like, I'm going to be me, and I'm going to be mindful. Going to be mindful. I'm not just going to, yeah, as I said before, shove it down your throat. But I'm going to allow you to respond to it, because I know that I don't live in this world alone. And if I want people to show up, I think just having a psychological background, I know that conditioning is a huge thing. Like, there was this thing on Threads where it was like, kids, like, make sure you do something really, really crazy in life, like almost shave your head off, so that whenever you're with your parents, they're not like, hey, you need to be home by 8. Like, you know, there's conditioning. Like, as sad as that might sound, you condition your friends, you condition the people around you, you condition your coworkers in how to respond to you.
Yeah.
And so making sure that you're okay with me being me is like a key factor of being someone who gets to be around me. Because I just know how important I am. And I know what me being in someone's life looks like and not.
Do you think it's like, how do you tell somebody, okay, I'm going to be important in your life?
You don't.
You don't.
Yeah, just show up.
You're just worth it.
You just take space one day and just don't leave.
No. So, okay, so what that looks like is, it's not like I'm like, hey, Nilly, I'm about to take up about 50% of your time, and I just want you to be okay with that. No, that it's
I'd
more
be like, okay.
Start this timer now.
You reach right. You reach out, and if they're willing to hang out with you, you hang, you share, and then you being your authentic self, it just naturally will draw the people that you want in your life. And there are a lot of people who I realized, like, oh, I am not who I think I am, and I only know this because the people that I'm attracting have a specific quality, and it seems to be like person after person after person. If it was to be like, oh, like 1 person out of 5, then I'd be like, oh yeah, like it's just a happenstance.
Right.
But if it's like a majority of people, then I know what I'm offering or I know what I'm giving off, and I say that in relationships as well. Like, I know that if I attract like 3 crazy men, then hey, there's a high chance.
There's a common denominator.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Where like, hey, if I'm gonna like, I just know what I offer, and to be honest, like, if what I offer is not what they need, it naturally just falls off.
You got to be okay with it falling off.
Yeah.
I wanted to
Gotcha.
speak on that because Camille is one of my most recent friends or friendships that, you know, like, I've been dedicating time to, and I know she's been dedicating time to me too. And I definitely agree, like, because I've seen it, right? Camille showing up authentically to me has created a safe environment for me to feel comfortable sharing back, right? And I think that also translates to romantic relationships, right? When there's a safe environment created, you can trust that you can depend a little bit emotionally, right? Or with material things to some extent, right? At some point. And that's why I say, right, with trusting your friends, trusting your partner, it's all about you test it, you see reaction,
Right.
and you can give like a coin of trust type of thing, right? And that trust built up consistently creates a safe environment. Obviously, if I tell Camille something, Camille is like, oh, yeah, you told me that, but like, I just laughed about it because I don't get it. Like, I'm not going to share something vulnerable with her again because I'm like, well,
Right.
there goes that.
that
Like,
Do you
yeah.
feel like in relationships, it's your responsibility to have to create a safe space for that partner?
100%.
1,000,000%.
1,000,000%.
1,000,000%.
That's what you're there for. Like at the end of the day,
1,000,000%.
You're not with the 1,000,000?
he's with the 1 billion.
I was just about to say that.
It's as a partner, as a boyfriend, as a girlfriend, whatever. It's your responsibility to make a safe space for that person.
Or open. If you don't know how to, it's your responsibility. If you truly want it
find
to
out.
work, to ask questions and be
Yes.
like, "This is. I don't feel like you're sharing, or I don't feel like I'm being a safe space for you. Like, how can we work on it? Is there something like?" I want to think that if you're investing time into someone, a relationship, you truly care about providing that's emotional safety, and that level of intimacy that her friends or their friends are not getting, right? That's usually what separates you from friendships.
But here's the weird part, because I mean, I don't think people should be. I'm not saying I disagree, but I don't think it should be at a deficit. Like, okay, let's say I'm talking to a girl, she doesn't get much emotional safety from her friends or her family whatsoever. Then all of a sudden, I become that sole safe place. I don't even think that's healthy.
It's not a codependency thing, at least the way I'm thinking about it. I agree.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
It's
Like
too-
you become. Oh,
No. Good.
it's not like you become her therapist or,
Right.
yeah.
I did.
So
Just on some
that is more of a
experiences.
scarcity mindset, what you're referring to. Because, like, if Nilly is someone... Well, no, okay, let me just start from the beginning. If I go in as authentic as myself, right, she won't believe because she didn't know me prior to... or unless she was stalking me, but she didn't know
Maybe.
prior to the initiation of our friendship what I was before. So whatever I show up as is what she's going to think is the reality of who I am.
Right.
Now, to think, oh, if I'm authentic, wait, she might come to me again. Oh, no, I'm going to come in inauthentic. Like, I'm going to lie my behind off. Then that would be, like, disingenuous. And so that's why I'm like, you don't think about the possible... And that's the thing. Like, you have to be aware of how much you start to think for other people.
Yeah.
Because you thought for other people. You're like, wait, but what if she talks to me only? How did we get there, Vlad?
Wait, this happened. But you're saying the
This
right
is
things. Like,
overthinking.
there's a part of you that gets so anxious, you start to think on behalf
Of other
Yeah.
people.
Exactly.
Yeah. You just got to think on behalf of you.
Yeah, like go and let God.
Like, oh my God. Right.
difficult. Because for me, I could definitely say I'm better at this now, but there is a sense of fear of disappointing other people. Like one of the worst things somebody could tell to me is that they're disappointed. And it's not so much like, okay, I was dying for this person's approval, but to know that I caused disappointment in somebody else's life, it's a weird feeling for me. I can't say I'm always used to it.
So, would you say you're a people pleaser?
I'm a recovering people pleaser.
Do you think you're perfect?
Wait, what?
Because, I mean, thinking that you don't... I think we all have a fear or subtle fear, or we don't want to disappoint people. I think we go around life, right, thinking that,
Right.
or wanting to do it.
Right.
But the only way you never disappoint anyone is if you're perfect.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think it's more of like, okay, I don't want to disappoint. It's like, I'm going to make everybody happy around me. But I have to almost manually like rewrite my brain to be like, okay, there are people who are going to be disappointed. Be okay with that. I have to sometimes like manually, like, it's just,
Yeah. No, I get it.
like literally have to be like, okay, I'm going to disappoint people. This, that, and third may not be happy with this. Am I okay with this? I'll be real. I'm more recent. This is more recent development. Even with the podcast and stuff like that. I'll be honest. Like when I was referencing it before, there was about like a good 2 years that I didn't start. Like I had the idea in 2020, and I didn't start till 2022. The only reason for that delay was simply fear of disappointing.
Yourself or your audience or who?
Both. I never recognized it as both, but it's both. Disappointing other people or like okay, this may not be what people like or may get zero views or whatsoever, or like disappointing my own expectations. But even now, I've come to the point like dwelling on that regret has affected me more. So I'm like, okay, I'd rather do it than be regretful. I'm learning more about that. It's weird.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I truly think that we are, wait, let me choose my words wisely. I think throughout life, we'll have to do a lot of rewiring of our brain, our thought patterns. And obviously, right, we back it up with the truth. Amen. But it's needed because we learn things or we attach things to our character and our coping mechanisms that maybe we don't even recognize until it blows up in our face, or we don't even want to carry that into our future families or relationships or just for our personal good. So yeah, I commend that. It takes effort. I don't think things and narratives in our brains just disappear. It takes effort.
Right.
In repetition.
Repetition. It takes effort. Undoing the anxious thoughts and all that type of stuff. It's weird. That's the weird part about adulthood.
Yeah.
They don't prepare you for this part.
No.
We need like one of the, what is it? For school you have the counselor.
Yeah.
The guidance counselor?
The guidance counselor. It's like we need life guidance counselors.
For real.
Therapists, life coaches,
Right,
all that type of stuff.
right.
Aid all around.
It's always fun. I think this is why it's good to really have people you can open up with and like think about like where your thought process goes wrong or where it goes right and dwell on it. I know me, I'm the cup half empty. I've learned to surround myself with people who are like cup half full. Do I come off that way? Before today.
I would think you're I perceived you, and I still think you are a confident person with who you are and what you do. So to even hear you say that it took you about 2 years to start this, I would have not guessed it. Honestly.
That means I'm doing good.
I think.
Oh
Oh yeah,
no,
go
you
ahead.
did.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say, I think there are signs that that's who you are. I think there are moments where, like, those things can be expressed through your actions. But I think prior to this moment, I also perceive silence as strength. So I think prior, like me finding out about your podcast was like, if I had a podcast, I'd literally like, it'd be like a tattooed across every outfit I have. Like, hey, I have a podcast and you should check it out. Right. So to hear that you have so much going on and not know anything about it. But outside of that, hearing your voice when you're talking about things, it's not like, I mean, I think you're choosing now to express yourself. So I didn't identify, like he may be struggling with anything. I think it was like, that's just you're like, didn't want to talk, so you didn't talk. Or like, you know, I think you're purposeful. I think that's where you are at this point where you're purposeful about your actions. Because I think a lot of people I've seen who are around you previous to me think that your silence is strength as well. And they'll just like have jokes going that everyone but you's laughing, and you know, or maybe you're laughing and it's just like more of a like as soon as they stop laughing you're done, and I'm like, I can't tell if he likes this or not. I can't tell if that's the kind of environment he would have or not, but he's not saying anything, so he's complicit in it and he's saying this is okay.
Right. It's like the silence.
Correct. The silence, suffering in silence. So for me, when you do speak, I'm like, okay, I think that he takes into account all the things that are happening in his life and he grows from it. That's the extent that I could say that. But then, yeah, to hear that things are going on in your life and never hear you talk about it, I'm like,
Yeah.
what's going on here?
Yeah. I'm guilty.
It happens to all of us.
Yeah.
I think you show tendencies of both. I don't think it's strictly one. At least from my point of view, and us being friends for however long we've been friends, especially as we've gotten closer and like done events together and stuff like that. I think I can see both sides of it.
It's always it's a journey.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I don't like to admit that I've grown. I don't. I'm not, it's like, not that I'm trying to be conceited, but sometimes saying that you've grown mean that you weren't as good as you thought you were sometimes. And even for me, not in an arrogant sense, but almost like I'm like, it's like if you're filling up the cup, the fact that I'm filling it up means that it was empty before. I have to like, again, manually like tell myself, no, you're growing. That's a good thing. And then even in quiet moments and stuff like that, I'm always perceiving myself as like, okay, what can I do to add to the situation or add to a conversation or whatsoever? And if there's nothing, I'd be okay in the silence. At least I think I'm looking okay in the silence. But, there's discrepancies. But I really do like this conversation. It was unexpected. We had nothing planned.
Right.
But I like this conversation because anxiety is something that I'm learning we all struggle with. And we all even have our own path to the anxiety, which is important. I like this conversation, guys. Maybe we'll have a bit more. I like it. Guys, thank you for joining the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Of course, yeah.
Awesome. Thank you guys again. As I say with everything, I wish you all the best. And with the rest, God bless.